Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And man, we have a huge uptick in these female teachers having relationships with teenage male students. And this story, I try to bring up unique stories where it can raise our level of consciousness and awareness. There's been a ton of stories about teachers and their inappropriate behavior with students, but this one has a few caveats. It's filled with dichotomies and is filled with hypocrisy in this particular story. And it also has to deal with this young lady who was a life skills teacher. Not sure if this gentleman was one of her students or not, but she was also harboring this young man and letting him hide out at her house while he was being looked for by his family and the police. So not only did she engage in inappropriate behavior with this young man, but she was also hiding him out so he could evade law enforcement. So she's in trouble for several things. And like I say, this is filled with hypocrisy. So let's get into it. Life skills teacher, 44, with pigtails, is arrested and fired after having sexual contact with a boy, 17. A teacher has been accused of having sex with a 17-year-old boy who had been missing for months. Robin Rogers, 44, was arrested Thursday for alleged offense after officers made contact with her at a home on Beef Eater Drive in Lake Havasu City, Arizona. And don't make fun of the name of the street, Beef Eater. So she was believed to be hiding the juvenile male who ran away from his home on February 14th. He was observed leaving the rear of the residence as cops conversed with Miss Rogers, leading them on a short foot chase before the kid was taken into custody. So the cops show up at her house. They get a tip that this young male is at her home, and as the police are talking to her, he's trying to sneak out of the back of her house, not realizing that if police are going to do a search, they're going to have the front and the back of the house covered. Cops later said the juvenile male was in a sexual relationship with Miss Rogers and that she was assisting him by evading police. She was subsequently arrested and charged with 3 counts of sexual conduct with a minor, along with hindering prosecution, false reporting to law enforcement, possession of narcotic drugs, and possession of drug paraphernalia. During her initial appearance, Rogers was held on a $25,000 cash bond on the 3 counts of sexual misconduct with a minor and a $5,000 secured bond on the remaining charges. In her mugshot, the mom of 2 children sported a pair of pigtails. Here we go. This is a life skills teacher at a school. And she's got pigtails on at 44 years old. Look at all of this chasm and what's going on with this young lady. And she's got 2 adult daughters. On February 16, 2024, officers with the Lake Havasu City Police Department began an investigation regarding a runaway juvenile male who left his residence on February 14, 2024, and had not returned. Lake Havasu City Police Department Public Information Officer Detective Chris Angus said in a statement Friday, over the course of several months, officers began following leads and received several silent witness tips where it was believed that the juvenile male was staying at a residence on Beef Eater Drive. While talking with Miss Rogers, the 17-year-old juvenile male runaway was observed leaving the rear of her residence and led officers on a short foot pursuit before being taken into custody, Angus said. As a result of their investigation, Rogers was arrested and charged, the detective added. She was then transferred to the custody of the Mojave County Sheriff's Office, where she currently remains. Hours later, Telesis Preparatory Academy superintendent, this is a school where she taught at, it's either Telesis or Telesis Preparatory Academy superintendent Sandy Brees said who's Rogers' employer, said she offered her own statement revealing the teacher in life skills and child development was no longer with the institution. So this lady was a life skills coach and was a child development advisor. The staff member is no longer employed at our school, Brees said Friday night. We do not have any additional information. Shortly before, the charter school for kids in kindergarten to 12th grade had a web page listing Ms. Rogers among its staff, but the page was no longer accessible as of Friday. It remains unclear when exactly it was removed. A cachet version of that page lists Rogers as not only a teacher of life skills and child development, but the school's athletic liaison and board of directors liaison, and also bills her as being the school's cheerleading coach. So this young lady, Miss Rogers, 44, had about 5 different positions at this high school. And I'm going to repeat them again. She was a teacher of life skills and child development. She was the school's athletic liaison and board of directors liaison. And she also was the cheerleader, the school's cheerleading coach. As for the runaway, it remains unclear who he is and how he came to know the suspect, Miss Rogers. Cops would only confirm he was sexually involved with Miss Rogers, whose social media shows she has 2 grown kids of her own. Photos, meanwhile, show her happily drinking with friends and enjoying water sports along the Colorado River, which runs through Lake Havasu City and under its imported London Bridge. Records show that she has yet to post bail as of Tuesday and remains incarcerated at the Mojave County Sheriff's Office. It remains unclear if she is currently wed or married, but her social media and public records suggest she was married as recently as 2 years ago. So she's been arrested. So let's dive into this particular storyline. Here again, I don't try to make it salacious or inundate you with inappropriate relationships with teacher and students, but this one is filled with hypocrisy and dichotomies. Life skill and development teacher, where she's supposed to be positively nurturing and developing these young people into positive and appropriate adults. However, she, behind closed doors, is committing a tremendously bad crime against this 17-year-old young man who ran away from home, who the police were looking for, and she's detaining him while there is an alert that police are looking for this young man. Evidently, he's not going to school, and not only is she harboring this runaway, but she's also committing acts of misconduct with this young man, which were clearly inappropriate and stepped over the line. Looking at this, and if this young man was staying at her house, it probably gives the appearance that she probably was not still married or separated or going through a divorce. If this young man is staying at the home, there's no mention of a husband or the father of her 2 adult grown children being at the residence. So it sounds like she probably was living alone. But here again, what is going on in our adult teachers This woman is 44 years old, not 24, not 34. And for her to engage in these alleged allegations of drug paraphernalia, drug possession, harboring somebody who is trying to evade the police, and then engaging in some kind of relationship with this gentleman, there are a multitude of charges that are going to be bestowed upon Miss Rogers. This is poor judgment. Mental illness is a real thing. Some of my listeners may say, well, was she mentally ill? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe she's making a conscious decision to go along with this relationship. Maybe the kid didn't go to the school. She probably thought no one would ever find out. But in today's time, I tell you, these telephones and technology have contributed to many advances in our society today, but it has gotten many of these teachers, especially these female teachers, in a ton of trouble. We're talking Snapchat, social media, Instagram, texting back and forth. All of those are a history and a log, especially if you're committing inappropriate behavior or illegal activity. This is all a pathway straight for you to go straight to jail. I think the pigtails are a significant sign where she's trying to relate to this younger person. How many 44-year-old women wear pigtails on a regular basis? That is a sign and a denotation of a high school young lady. So if she thinks at 44 that she is still 17 or can relate to a 17-year-old, that's where I think the chasm of mental illness can play a part. She's trying to live in a fantasy world when in reality, she's committing these heinous crimes against this young man, and also hiding him out while his family and the police are looking for him. What a crazy story. This teacher is in a ton of trouble. She has 2 adult children. Her 2 adult daughters have to be embarrassed. Her family has to be embarrassed. This has made national news, national social media news, and I thought I would bring this topic up and draw your attention to another scenario where poor judgment is being used by a mature, supposedly mature, 44-year-old life skills and child development teacher at a charter high school, and she, on the exterior, it seems like she's trying to do good for these young people and for a service and a commitment to nurturing young people. But in her private life, in her secret life, in the darkness, she is engaging in activities that go antithetical to what her title is as a life skills and child development instructor. We have to look in the mirror and manifest our truth in the right way, whether it's our inner force or our outer spirit. They need to align in a positive, nurturing, and respectful way. She got caught with her hand in the cookie jar, and it's unfortunate. Tell me what you think. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth in a positive, righteous, and God-fearing way.